I'll open up to the floor in about 5 minutes, but since Wong Sai Wan is not here, maybe I can just say a few things. One of the things that is a little frustrating over the since the elections have been announced is what I call subliminal questions, and we've spoken about this quite a lot. Does imagination not matter for the media? A media that is able to anticipate issues, that is able to interrogate issues, that is able to imaginatively approach issues. I think we all disgusted by sex videos, but they've been going on for about 15 years, and I don't see anybody attempting to explore the effect of smut upon our political culture. One of the things that I've learned from the sex videos, I watch them very ardently, and since the time of D.P. Vijayendran, to the most recent one, our male politicians really need to do better underwear shopping. Huge thing. So that aside, but we were talking about urban-rural divide. The areas in Sarawak, of course, that are extremely remote, and things that Java said are absolutely true. But we work in places like the interiors of Kelantan, in Machang, in a kampung called Kampung Kemuchup. We go to Kedah, we go to Perlis, we go to the interiors of Perak, and places like that. And the question of whether there is actually a rural anymore, because everyone has a handphone, and everyone has one of their 8 or 10 children in somewhere in Kuala Lumpur, in some urban area, constantly coming back with information and so on. The level of rage and disaffection and disgust and revulsion in a kampung like Kampung Kemuchup in Machang is very great. How is that going to translate? I mean, I don't see the media taking this on at all. I really wish we had somebody from the national media here, because we don't understand from within their perspective. Mainstream, national media. Mainstream, national media, whatever, because I would like to someone honest enough will be able to tell us what the pressures actually are. Because all my friends who have remained in the national media don't seem very happy. And they bald a lot faster, and they're putting on a lot of weight, and they really don't look very happy. And of course, there's been a terrible dip since 1998. And this is a very significant thing in the media as well, that a whole host of journalists with experience, with groundwork, with feet really, to go out. One of the things I've come to realize since I covered the 1995 elections very aggressively, and this time around in 2013 I said, we're going to get into a car, we're going to travel. I'm just too old, really just too old. The legs don't carry me as far as they would anymore. But younger journalists don't seem to have this need to do that, and it's not a culture. I mean, in 1995 I was sent to Kelantan for 1 month. Prior to the elections, I followed Guru around, and the Star was running these stories, interrogative, wonderfully imaginative stories. And let's go even further back. I mean, a person like Abdul Samad Ismail writing in the New Straits Times in 1978 about why the PMIP or PAS, Party, Pan-Malaysian Islamic Party at the time, not 78, maybe 74 or something like that, was so powerful in Kelantan. We don't get these kinds of pieces anymore. And unfortunately, even in a lot of the alternative media, it's a lot of rah-rah. And for me, one of the troubling factors is that this matter of imagination, which is, I think, what the media should be about, and also as guardians of an institutional memory, and to interrogate some of the more amorphous and more vague areas of our political life. Even that we don't seem to be able to do. What is the place of religion, for example, in public life? What are the eventualities of an Islamic state? Today Dr. Mahathir says it's impossible to have an Islamic state because you need a 2/3 majority. Is that the only reason? What kind of other reasons? What kind of aspirations do people? One of the interesting things about this coming election, people make a lot about new voters and so on. Of course, their demographics are very important with those factions. But what about the shift in traditional loyalties? So those kinds of questions, which Java I'm going to write for you over the next couple of weeks. So anyway, that's me ranting. I'm going to open up the floor for questions, and I'm going to take 3 at a time to be directed to each one of you. On this side first. One. Anyone else? 3 questions. On this side? 2. That's Vincent. One more, please. Sorry? Okay, 3. Just tell us who you are and all the way there. 1, 2, 3.
Cairo. I'm voting in kind of an urban kampung area, Seremban. Okay. My first question is actually I have 2 questions. One is about gerrymandering and the change of law, election law in Malaysia. Does that actually give any bearing to the winning or not? And then the other one is a bit silly, but I think Malaysian Insider did carry an article about bookie playing a part in, judi, okay, in whether that will affect the outcome of the election.
Hi, my name is Gay Cheng. I'm voting in Penang. My question has to do with this rural-urban divide. Malaysia is rapidly urbanizing, huge percentage of the population are in urban areas. So I'm just wondering again, this whole, the policy to urbanize, it seems to be working against them, is it? Well, maybe that's not a rhetorical question, I'm just asking. Thanks.
My name is Vincent, and my question is pretty much on the legislation concerning newspapers, the Printing Act and the Sedition Act. What should we do about these acts?
Brother, you need to stand up.
Hi, Harold, bugger, you can always ask me anytime.
Buy him a beer first.
Yeah, okay, do the laws have any changes? I think the whole world, and I lie when I say the whole world is watching Malaysian elections. I was with my ex-colleague, he worked for the last 17 years in Beijing as a photographer. He begged to come here, notwithstanding bird flu and an earthquake. And he's here, and he asked me last night, what's there to cover? It's so quiet. And the only picture people are interested in across the world really is Anwar Ibrahim, win or lose. They don't care about any other picture. So the whole world is technically watching us. They're sending observers. The election rules, I think a lot of pressure. So it's going to be tested. All this rules about who can walk, who can observe, which you have always had, indelible ink, which will be put in before you vote instead of after, as in other countries. Does it make a change? No. Short answer, no. They can still cheat. Okay? Second question, gambling. I think it plays a huge factor. The market spread now is Barisan between 90 seats and 115. Right? So for bookies to win, they got to make sure Barisan gets less than 90 seats. I know all of you are happy secretly inside. Right? But those are the bookies. I was with some senior journalists yesterday also, because we welcome our friend from Beijing. And one of them, a very senior journalist, said, and he put 5 jugs of beer on this, so you will know who this journalist is, because he only drinks beer. 125 for Pakatan. Right? So he's got a bet with my good friend Leslie Lau, taking bets with everyone. 16-year-old whiskeys, 20-year-old whiskeys. Betting does affect elections. It's a huge bet that Penang will fall. Right? Or Penang, people are betting Penang will fall. So the bookies are going to make sure Penang doesn't fall. You have this kind of thing. It affects Barisan, it affects Pakatan. You know? In a by-election, it affects a lot of people, seriously. So that's that. What was the young lady's question about? Urbanization. Okay, this is the thing. Urbanization means we have roads, we have access to cellular signals, we can access the net, right? But is your mindset urban? Is your mindset liberal? In the last 40 years, we've had this greatest migration of Malays into urban areas. These are the kampung Malays, as opposed to the urban Malays, the city Malays of P. Ramlee's time, who have a jin, setan and a joget. The 60s, liberal Melayus living in the cities, wearing suit, tie, you know. You got to see this mindset. Just because you live in a city, I'll give you a very good example, Shah Alam. Seriously, you think they're urbanized? Okay, sorry, Khairul, I know you live there. So it's mindset. The mindset cannot change. In fact, Khairul was the one who told me this. It's a very interesting thing in Pandan where his wife voted. They're saying that it's better a bad Muslim than a good Christian. So I say, you take out the E from the first part and put A, better the bad Muslim. But the point is this, a lot of people think that way. So the mindset has to change, and that involves education. Unfortunately, you have Utusan, Malaysia, which I read religiously every day, and Berita Harian. I don't watch TV because anyone here watches 8 o'clock TV news? It's called Comedy Hour. So yeah, so the mindset has changed. Unfortunately, it hasn't changed. So you might have a BMW in your porch, but you still have this middle class guilt. You pray 5 times a day and you believe in Hassan Ali. Right? The last question, media laws. You can free up all the laws if the media is owned by certain interests and certain businessmen and whoever, like I'm supposed to allegedly be owned by Red Berry. You follow the wallet. Right? The few journalists who have balls are not in this country. Well, okay, except for us. Right? The few journalists who have balls are around, but they don't get their sites or their news out. You see, so you can change the laws any way you want. It's all mindset. Our country has reached a stage where I tell people, our parents couldn't do it because we were developing and we had a communist threat. Now we have to change our mind. The guys in their 30s and 40s have to change their mind. You know, but I take what Mr. Edinku said, seriously, too tired to do this now. Thank you.
Okay, I just respond to the question of gerrymandering. I did an interview with the former MB of Selangor, Petoyo, as part of a little plug for BFM. So we have a video section anyway. So when I interviewed him, I asked him what was his major regret. And his major regret was the 2003 redelineation exercise. Now, what the 2003 or delimiting exercise is actually the technical term, did was it created more mixed constituencies. And what mixed constituencies do is, what they expected was to in fact increase Barisan's base. Because Barisan did very well in mixed constituencies. Meaning, if there is a majority, a Malay-Chinese majority for instance, they're not more than 70%. This is traditionally where Barisan has done very well. And so they saw that as a trend and they went for it and they gerrymandered the system for their political purposes. It turned out to be their biggest mistake, because that's where the that's where PKR did very well. They did it because they saw the threat of PAS in Selangor. They wanted to water down Malay majority seats. Now, I also did an interview with Ong Kian Min, who explains the politics of delimitation. Again, you know, for me, it's very interesting. You can have power, and you can you think you can sew the system up. You can somehow fix it for your own personal, your own sort of benefit. But it doesn't always work. It doesn't work when there is some other factor that is driving people to vote in different ways. So, or think about what they want. So I wouldn't be too. I wouldn't be pessimistic, even though you believe that the government has power, because since 2008 they haven't had the power to redraw constituencies in their own interest. But at the same time, you know, even if they did, it doesn't necessarily work for them. So the power of the political, I mean, meaning there sometimes is a moment that just overrides all the other logics and can provide a popular, they can provide a result that is in fact reflective of popular sentiment. So, you know, yes, we live in an authoritarian state, it doesn't feel like it sometimes, but at the same time, they haven't got the system fixed. I think we can still make a change in this country.
Yeah, I think I'll take the last one about media laws. You don't just have the PPPA, Sedition Act, the Official Secrets Act, and all that. So, of course, the current administration is going on about how the PPPA has been amended and it's not as draconian as it is before, and we all know it's bullshit. Because you're still bound by the license. They can still revoke the license at any time. You just, the 1 year paperwork of submitting for new licenses has gone. And if they do revoke it now, there is a little bit more legal recourse for you to question the Home Minister. But it's there. What can be done? We have to remove these laws. Right? The old joke when the OSA first came out was that it was not the Official Secrets Act, it was the Official Secret Acts. Right? That's what's being hidden. It's nothing to do with secrets. But for me, the still underlying concern is that even when you remove all these laws or make them more liberal and more accountable to society, you're still not going to remove the major problem afflicting the mainstream media in Malaysia, and that is political party ownership. That's for me the killer. The law, you know, even with the PPPA above us, there are media outlets, especially the alternative media, that have managed to come up with more balanced journalism. I can tell you, even in the Star, where I worked for 20-something years, there are journalists who still push the boundaries and still try to get stories out, sometimes thanklessly, but they still believe it. The thing that killed them off, the ones that destroyed most of their spirits, were the politics. You know, you're going to be snapped down not because you broke the law, ran a seditious story or questionable story. It is orders from above. You don't do this, you don't cover this, you don't say this about this MCA politician. That's the killer, right? And I don't see any clarity from Pakatan about the media regime. When they take over, I mean, they're banning Utusan Malaysia and Penang, the Penang Assembly. They don't believe in free media either. They speak the language, but their actions are quite the opposite. So even if we have a change of government, I think the media landscape is not going to change so much, except that perhaps some journalists will be more emboldened to write true stories.